Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to check which way I'm going. That way. I am joined by the really gorgeous Andrea Lancaster. Andrea Lancaster, witchery now.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrea, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm good.
Good. And we are joining you today on autumn equinox.
Yes.
Woo woo. So I am going to kick off. I'm going to get going because Facebook will be letting everybody know that we're live and people will be joining us. So if you are joining us, please do jump into the comments box, say hello, let us know that you're here, let us know that you're around because it'd be great to see who is joining us this lunchtime. I'm going to keep an eye on my phone as well, which has got this really nasty Rapunzel sticker on the back. Because Mummy needed that. So obviously I did. I'm going to have a look on my phone because it doesn't look like we're getting the comments through on our live stream, but that's completely cool. I can keep an eye on them. So, autumn equinox. Can you tell us a little bit about autumn equinox?
Indeed, I can. So, autumn equinox is actually like the spring equinox where day and night are in perfect balance. So, there's no imbalances. It's perfect. Light and dark, day and night, everything's in balance today. So it's all about getting yourself in balance, but traditionally it was also kind of looked at by the because society was agricultural. It was about, okay, this is the last harvest, this is where we get everything away, stored away. If we have to cull some of the cattle to keep the meat in salted stuff, for us over the winter. So we recognise that this is the last time because the earth is kind of going to sleep now. Mother Earth's going to sleep. So we give thanks for this time of year for providing us with the harvest, with the cattle, the cattle being free of disease, etc., so that we can be safe during the winter time. So that's what it was about. And it was about honouring the fact that the god was now going to sleep, or the sun was being sacrificed, as they call it, because it's complicated, but the goddess gives birth to the god, who is her son, but also her consort, and he is sacrificed at harvest to replenish the earth, Mother Earth, so that he can be born again as the god. So you can see, but you can also see the relationship between Mother Mary and Jesus and the being crucified on the cross. Can you see where that came from? From do you know what I mean? The real pagan religion and the way it went round. So it was a time of great celebration. So they really did go for it. It was about, baking lots of bread and, fruits, autumn fruits, seasonal, obviously not the imported strawberries from wherever, because they didn't do that. It was like pears, apples, do you know what I mean? Everything, squashes, which we didn't actually have them. I think we had a form of, but it wasn't the pumpkins. So it was all about the traditional foods, the meats and everything, having a big celebration, thanking the sun, the god, technically, for sacrificing his life to be able to enable the ground to become fertile again in around February, March time, in bulk time, and moving on to Star, Beltane, etc., where you start to see Mother Earth shooting up, all the shoots coming back. So it's all about that. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it's about. It's about putting cones, fir cones on your altar, or decorating your home with them with, some people used to make take bits of fir tree and make nice little adornments. So it's all about the oranges, the reds, the yellows, like autumn. If you look outside now and see the colour of the leaves, that's what you would adorn your home with. And a pine cone, traditionally, if you keep it on your altar, or your sacred space, we'll call it, keeps away negativity and evil. So
my pine cones are on top of my washing machine.
Well, you better get them off. Although your washing machine's well protected, it probably won't go wrong for years now. That's fantastic. Yes, and every electrical item in the home. and you might be okay. But it's actually meant to go in a sacred space and get on there. But hey, what a good idea. I might think about that one. How many have I got? Good thinking about that. So, you know, it was about things like that, but it was a big celebration, a big thank you. So you would leave offerings for the goddess, for the fae, like honey, milk, you know, cake. The fae love sweet things, so they love cake. So it was all about that kind of thing, but lots of merriment, because they knew that from today it was going to get darker, and obviously in those days they went with their natural body cycles, and they went to bed as soon as it got dark and woke up when the sun, you know, rose. We didn't have all the GMT and everything and all of that, so it went with the cycles of the sun and everything like that. So they knew that it was going to get colder, and so this was their big, you know, thank you. And we realized the nights are going to get darker as well, and everything that goes with it. So
it's all about gratitude for abundance, really, isn't it? It's that abundance of the harvest. What we've got now is going to see us through, and being super grateful and celebrating that, which I think we're probably really bad at celebrating.
Yeah, and we're very neglectful of giving thanks for what we do manifest. And we need to remember to give thanks, you know, for what we have, what we've got, what we've gained, you know, so that energy continues, but it continues out and above and away in a positive, you know, way.
It's that ripple I've been talking about, isn't it? It's that ripple that goes, keeps.
That's right.
Momentum. You know, the more grateful we are, the more great stuff we draw in.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we are filled with light and gratitude and, you know, recognition of abundance, there's no room for the other stuff, is there?
No, there's not. And it's very poignant at the minute because it was a new moon on Wednesday. So we're now building up towards a full moon. And I know some people are saying it's the day of rapture tomorrow, where you know, all the worthy and the good are going to rise to heaven, etc. Well, it's more like a rupture, because it's a rupture in the energy field, which allows more ascension energy in. So there's a gate kind of opening, and so we're going to get bombarded with more energy. But I do believe it is a lighter, much more positive energy, and it is about releasing even more stuff and coming into balance with the autumn equinox energy. So I think it's a much lighter energy. It's not as heavy as the solar energies we were bombarded with the Lion's Gate. So this time is a very, very profound time.
So I know that lots of people have struggled since the eclipse, from an energetic perspective, that there's been a lot of people who felt really heavy since that eclipse. Is that kind of now, obviously Mercury's now direct.
Yeah.
We've got out of that eclipse period. Is this going to be that ascension into lighter and brighter energy generally?
Generally, yes. However, we do have, now I may pronounce this incorrectly because I always do, Chiron or Chiron, the wounded healer, who is very, I don't know where its trajectory is or anything exactly, because I'm not an astrologer, but it's definitely affecting some people. So it's more, it will affect the wounded healers, so healers who have not sorted out their own stuff. It will try and force some, you know, powerful changes on them to look at themselves and what they need to change. If they've been going, no, don't want to deal with that, don't want to deal with that. It may affect some people like that who aren't sorting their stuff out. But generally, most people who are working on their SHIT.
I can say that word on this page.
Oh, God. Well, those who are not sorting their shit out are, you know, going to get probably feel that. But those who are going to feel a much more positive attitude and feeling lighter and feeling like they're being guided towards where they need to be with the energy. So they're flowing with it rather than against it.
Yeah.
But we've always known that any healers or anybody who are awake or eyes wide shut are going to feel that energy at some point, because it's trying to wake them up. It's trying to shake people into, you know, moving forward in their lives. So there's a lot going on there.
So if, I suppose the thing there is, if it does,
I'm gonna have a dog bark. Yeah,
if it does feel a little bit heavier for you over the coming days, then it might be a point to introspect.
Yeah,
definitely. A good point to introspect.
Definitely. And Saturday, I mean, although we are in a positive phase, as in we're building up the full moon, Saturdays are days of banishing, which is day of rapture. It would be a good day to sit and think, well, I'm going to let go of this and that, and what do I need to let go of? Light the black candle and allow it to burn down with the things that you're feeling that you need to let go of. Tomorrow would be a good day to do that.
So what would you do there? Would you set the intention? Would you write a list? How would you look at the
Yeah, they could write a list and then burn it, always in a safe way. I always have to say that. Yeah. Burn it in the garden, preferably, or if the weather's not clement, then burn it in the sink where it's going to be contained. You know, let's not set fire to our house. You could, there's a number of ways you could do it. You could mark it on scratch it into a candle that you're letting go of, you know, and whatever it is, name it, and let the candle burn down. There's cleansing baths, so you could do a cleansing bath with Epsom salts or sea salt, Himalayan salt, putting lavender in and imagining a really white light in the water that is cleansing you of this energy, and you would have to immerse yourself in it, or like head, I mean, would have to go under as well, and you imagine that, and you actually start talking about, I release whatever it is you need to release while you sat there, and I allow this to be taken from me for the better, etc. So you express it, and it goes with the water as it goes down the plug hole. So
and do we have to be really specific on that one? I think that, you know, it's one of those that I suppose if we're saying that it's about really introspecting and knowing, then yeah, I suppose you do have to be quite specific.
Purely, really, because if you just generalize, remember, be careful what you wish for. I always say that, because you might just get it and it might be like, oh, but I didn't ask for that, and I didn't. Well, you kind of generalize. So the universe and spirit and omnipotent being, goddess and god, whatever you want to call it, went, okay, so we'll just strip you of all of that. It'll be like a giant wax strip off your body. Yeah, exactly. And you'll feel it. So much better to identify certain areas, really, because you're meant to be tuning into your higher self and knowing what you need to let go of. Now, you know what upsets you, hurts you, triggers you. Do you know what I mean? So that's what you need to work on, rather than generalizing and getting the whole shebang and thinking, oh my God, wasn't ready for that. Do you know what I mean? Well, you didn't give the universe specifics, so that they're just going, well, okay then, right, we'll just go for it, eh?
We'll just see what happens. So this, I suppose, this weekend there's quite a bit to think about, on the basis that we've got our autumn equinox today, which is all about gratitude. It's all about abundance. It's all about recognition of what is there.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow's great for clearing.
Yeah, and today is great for love spells, but we do not name, we never name, we don't force people's will. It's to attract the right partner into your life. And money spells and fertility spells on a Friday, because it's day of Venus. So,
right.
So there would be a perfect balance that would bring perfectly balanced energy in. And if you think about it, a love spell or something like that, you would probably, your chances of bringing a perfectly balanced partner in would be much better.
So we're talking about balance, and we're talking about the fact that, you know, we're at that day where, you know, light and dark are equal. Everything feels much more balanced. Day and night, light and dark, all of that kind of thing. When we look at balancing ourselves, what do we have to be really mindful of?
we have to be aware of, I don't want to say limitations, but we have to be aware of not overdoing it. We don't want to overstretch where we're at, because sometimes people, when they do awaken, which is fantastic, they suddenly want to throw themselves full pelt into stuff. And it's not like that. You've got to do it stage by stage, bit by bit. So you've learned everything one step at a time. Like business, you've got to learn everything one step at a time. Rushing ahead's not going to get you where you need to be at the end. So it's patience. So it's working on yourself one bit at a time, so that you don't feel bereft or empty, or do you know what I mean? Or you've ripped your security blanket away before you were totally ready. You know, it's about being kind to yourself, as well as recognizing there's things you need to work on. But again, that's why the balance is there. Don't go, for want of a better word, mental with it and send yourself a bit doolally because you've gone over the top with it. You've took too much away, or you've bombarded, you've opened yourself up so much, you've got a banging headache. And you know, it is about the balance.
And what can you know, when you're actually looking at working with people to feel like they're a little bit more balanced, to feel, you know, because I suppose a lot of the times that we look at being balanced is when we're feeling a little bit wizzy, or we feel like we're on a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
How would you start to allow people to kind of regulate that a little bit, regulate their energy and start to look after themselves in that way?
Well, they've got to learn to ground their energy. They've got to learn to protect their energy. And some people go, well, you like attracts like, there's nothing bad, spirit, da-da-da. I'm like, well, yeah, maybe that's how you think. I think slightly differently because of what I've seen. But what about all the negative people around who are called psychic vampires? Others call them negative Nellies, if they're going to be more polite. What about all of that energy you can take on or feel totally drained? So you've got to learn to protect your energy, but you've got to ground your energy properly first. You've got to cleanse your energy. If you're working in this kind of field of endeavor, which is a big umbrella to be under, I mean, it will benefit anybody anyway, but you learn about your, you know, your auric field, to look after it, your energy. You learn to open and close your chakras correctly, and how you do it. You know, there is a way that you do it and there's a way you don't, so that your energy starts to run at 100%. That's how you do it. And being mindful of all of that, and being mindful of disengaging from your clients, from people's energy when you've, you know, you've finished doing whatever you're doing for them, whether it's a friend and maybe they've been a bit down. Obviously send them lots of positive energy and healing, but then disengage, disattach from it, so you're not carrying that around in your auric field. So that's what I would suggest to people.
I've popped in a link to the blog, which has got your video on there that is about protection and not being that sponge that carries one person's energy, you know, from one appointment into the next appointment without you even realizing that you're doing it. Cross contamination.
It is.
And you know, you they're not asking for that, and you actually don't. You know, you're not consciously wanting to do that, but being able to recognise and not carry that through from one to the next.
Yeah,
was really important. So, what would you say are kind of your top tips for light worker business owners?
Well, apart from what I've just talked about, it is being energetically aware of your space that you're in, and I'm sure everybody does cleanse their space. Smudge is always a great way of doing it, you know. Salt, putting salt down and leave it for a couple of days and then hoovering it up, but always removing the hoover bag off your property afterwards. You don't leave that salt on your property, you remove it from your property. And I'm not suggesting chucking it over your neighbour's wall unless you really don't like them, but I'm not saying that's okay. But if you see what I mean, there's ways of clearing your space, making sure your space is a positive one, where your room is, where you live, where you work is a positive place to be, that the energy is as positive as it can be. being aware of each client, you'll know what their needs are, but you'll also know who drains you and who doesn't, who's overwhelming, and and it's about those ticking those and knowing, right, this is what I need to do before that person gets here. This is what I need to do when that person leaves. It's all about that. It's about protecting your own energy, and then also learning to look after yourself as well. Shouldn't just be looking after your clients, you should be looking after your own energy as well. And I hold my hands up. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, and I'll sit down and I'll think, hang on, I need to go and cleanse my energy now, and I need to go and meditate, because otherwise I'm not looking after my own energy, So you've got to be aware of that when you work as a therapist, a light worker, a witch, whatever you want to call it. You've got to do it. You've got to protect your area of work, from the flotsam and jetsam that floats around in the, the energy in the air.
And I think that, there's a lot more impacts on our energy now with social media, with the constantness of things, with, lots of kind of feedback and comments, and that worry that people are watching or judging or whatever it might be. How do you make sure that you are streamlining kind of that energy that's coming in?
Well, first of all, I always have a chat with my guides about not wanting numpties who are going to, kind of, just say silly things or just be naysayers or anything. I don't need that in my life. Thank you. I've been there, had that, not bothered with people like that anymore. So just stay at home. Like, if you wake up and you want help, then there's the door. Otherwise, there you go. So it's about, when you're online, it's about, again, checking your energy. It can be very draining working online as well. You're encountering dozens of different people and their energy bombarding you with questions when you've got a page that's open. So be aware of only doing so much, and only, like having a cut-off point. And it is very difficult sometimes having a cut-off point, that somebody's messaging you and they're desperate, but you've worked all day in your energy. What can you do? Do you know what I mean? Do you spend 3 hours on the phone with them and then feel totally depleted, or what do? You have to respect your own energy, and especially when you are on social media, you have to be aware there are going to be people who laugh and don't believe in, well, there's lots of people don't believe in witchcraft and laugh, there's lots of people who laugh and take the mickey out of people for no reason whatsoever. It's about being respectful of them and being respectful of yourself. So we do get people, I've had one who told me to, go back to your little council estate and start selling heroin again, because obviously I've got a very strong Macam accent. I have. And I do live on an estate, actually, but I don't sell heroin. Although, on second thoughts, I probably would earn a lot more money if I did. But sorry, not into that. It's not my thing. So, you've just got to let you do that. No. So, good.
Yeah, I think, these people, I suppose the big thing is that whether you do or whether you don't, they're still going to find with bitch and gripe and groan, and it doesn't really matter what you do, and it isn't really that you've directly impacted that. It's just the way that these people are. What would you suggest kind of to have around your desk, crystal wise, for protection, things like that?
Well, when it's to do with your actual magnetic field from your computer and everything, carnalian's very good. Citrune's good as well. So that's good to have around. Citrune's good for attracting money as well, but it's good for like the magnetic force fields you have around your electric, items. Black tourmaline is just amazing because it doesn't need cleansing. It cleanses all the other crystals that are around it, and it stops your negativity and others' negativity. It's good at grounding as well, so it's a really good one. Obsidian's good. Hematite's good for grounding. there's selenite's good for boosting the energy, so's quartz crystal. But I feel selenite's more powerful than quartz crystal. Some people would disagree with that. That's fine. But, that's what I've found works in good combination. So it's having crystals around you that are supportive. So rose quartz is a very nice, I wouldn't say it's a gentle energy because it's actually a very strong energy, but in a loving way that nourishes you and protects you and makes you think about yourself in a positive way as well as others. So that's a good one to have around. If you're working with angels, celestite's brilliant. There's lots of different crystals depending on what you want, but it's about protecting your energy. I don't feel personally you can go past black tourmaline. I really don't. And everybody I think I've given it to, it has helped them, block either some of their negativity or especially other people's that don't feel as affected or like they've took it on as much, So it is a very strong, powerful crystal.
So how often do you ground throughout a day?
Well, that depends. On a morning, ground me energy, protect me energy. Then some clients, it's fine, don't need you. I always close my chakras back down in between, and you learn to do that much more quickly the more you practice it. It's just like grounding and protecting, it becomes like a reflex action. And then if it is somebody who's very needy, then I will spend about 5 minutes kind of cleansing me energy, doing this. I wash my hands after each client, so I'm symbolically washing their energy away, not in a disrespectful way, but I'm disengaging from them. I deliberately imagine disengaging and taking that person's energy away. I'll ground and I will reprotect the energy, but I will check where, if I feel like anything's stuck to me aura, and then move that on. So morning and night, definitely, but depending on your clients, after every client, if you can. Yeah.
How often are you meditating every week?
Well, not often enough sometimes because I'm so busy. But I try and make it once a week if I can.
Isn't it the busier you are, the more you should meditate?
Yeah, it is. It's very true, but I'm not perfect. And I tell people, go and meditate, and it's the best thing you can do. It really is, because every time I do, I think, I'm going to do this all the time. And then, life gets in your way. Somebody's shouting of you, your daughter's shouting of you, or whatever. And you're like, right, okay.
How long would you normally meditate for?
Half an hour.
Right. And what's your kind of top meditation tip? Do you listen to music? Do you fly and just go with it? What's your big tips?
I always listen to music. I listen to meditation music. Well, various therapeutic music, whatever you like. There's certain ones I really love. So I listen to them, but everybody should just listen to what it is that makes them feel calm and centered. It might be classical music, it might be, I don't know, it could be dance music, but that just makes my energy like vibrate. Some of the energy comes back. If I want my energy back, I'll put dance music on and there it goes, I've got my energy back. But it's not great for meditating for me. But yeah, meditation music always. I don't listen to guided meditations. That's not my thing. I know some people do like them and it does work for them. So I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that's not my thing, because I like to ground.
Freestyle.
Yeah, freestyle. just go with the flow, because normally spirits decided what they want to do with me while I'm meditating, what they want to show me, the place they want me to relax most, so I'm always taken to somewhere lovely in my meditation where I can relax and regenerate, and it's where I need to be the most. Mm-hmm. So because my guides are so bossy, I do listen to them a lot.
Wouldn't it work you well not to?
No, not really.
Sarah said, I keep trying to get back into meditation. I'm such a fidget. Well, the first thing that I would say there is, so what? I'm a fidget. I find it really difficult to sit still. My feet move, my arms move, my legs move. Stop judging and just go with it. Just go with it. Come back to the breath.
Forget the empty mind. Forget the empty mind thing. That's kind of a Buddhist meditation. It's like herding cats. Well, I've done it and I've managed to get into that space for about 30 seconds. Then, oh, there's a thought. Oh, go away. You know, it's much better to just sit and have no expectations and allow yourself to relax. At the end of the day, it's the relaxation and allowing your whole body and your mind and spirit just to go.
And it's not breathing properly. You know, if you do nothing else but breathe, then
definitely breathe, because it would be good if you didn't breathe. But breathe properly.
But then that's just so beneficial, because we're just breathing to live most of the time rather than
absolutely. Yeah. And so don't have expectations on yourself, you know. No. I know there's certain groups that do tell you have to do this, and this. It's not true. When I run my development groups, I do guided meditation because that's what they want. But I also say, if I'm saying you're in Egyptian pyramid and you're up in the stars somewhere, please don't try and force yourself into the Egyptian pyramid. Go with where you are, because that's where you're meant to be. Ignore what I'm saying, because Spirit's got other plans. Your higher self has other plans for you. So, you know, go with it. Go with you. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think
expectations, it's unreal.
That's it. And I think that the minute that you do that, meditation becomes a thing. Yeah. So sometimes I am just going to sit here. I am going to open up my Calm app, which has a beautiful fire on it. If I can open it up. And it allows me to do a timed meditation.
Fabulous. You can do that with a candle.
That is as little as 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, some days it is just about me getting back from the school run and going, I'm going to have 2 minutes to breathe. Yeah. And we've all got 2 minutes, haven't we, Andrea?
We have. We have. You're charged.
And yeah, just do it without expectation. Do it without, you know, thinking, you know, I let the thoughts come, I let the thoughts go. What I always do is I always put a notebook out with a pen, so that if afterwards I need to do that download,
I
can. And I find it the same as driving a car. I know that I've sat outside of your house before going, I need to write this down before I forget, because I thought about it in the car.
You have.
Which is the same as after meditation. Yeah, I think it's about just not thinking that there's a right way to do it.
No, that's it. I know. And you've just got to just do it and see what happens. Don't expect an outcome. Just go with it. And you'll be happy if you just do it that way. You'll be surprised and happy with the outcome. I mean, my guides will go, oh, welcome back, in a sarcastic tone, because I haven't done it for like over a week. Oh, yeah, thanks. Okay, I know. So, you know, it is a very important mocked thing, because lots of people mock the meditation. But I'm sorry, if you're stressed, there's no better way than, you know, bringing your blood pressure down, or, you know, it really, really helps. It really does. It calms you right down. If if you've got your child mithering you for a million different things, and, you know, and you go and, not that I would say my child's like that at all, you know, much, you know, you go and instead of getting angry and head up, it calms you right down. And you think, why was I getting annoyed because she's just been a child anyway, or why was I annoyed with that, what they said? You know, because you do let things get to you during the day, and meditation it really is an amazing key. It really is.
Well, it's that opportunity just to go, actually, what am I making this mean even?
Yeah.
You know, have I blown this all out of proportion? Let's just sit with it for a moment. And meditation, I think it's a bit like journaling. You know, I am a big advocate of writing that shit down out of your head, because it allows you to start to make sense of it. It gives you more space inside your head. But people have journaling down as there's so many rules to it. And I think it's the with meditation, there's all these rules. Yes. Whereas journaling is about writing. It's about writing stuff down that is sat inside your head.
Yeah.
Meditation is about sitting with stuff and breathing.
Yeah. And if you need a focus, like you've got the app with the fire on there, light a candle, light a white candle, and focus your attention on that. If that's what you need, do that.
Yeah.
And then you'll become much more relaxed. Your eyes will close. Even if they don't, you're still in a meditative state. You can be eyes open and in a meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
So just go with that.
Yeah. Go with whatever it is that fits for you, I think is the big one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And give yourself a bit of time and space.
So important. So important.
Totally. So have you got any top tips for my lovely rock stars that are your witchy tips, that are the things that can help and support them and give them a bit more oomph?
Well, certainly run through your checks with your energy. Definitely, if you can, every day. How's my energy feeling today? How's it not feeling? If you're feeling a bit vulnerable for some reason, grab that black tourmaline, stick it in your bra, or in your pocket.
Or have you ever had that where you go in the bath or the shower and you take your bra off and like a million crystals fall out?
Oh, I used to do the spiritualist church services, and I used to bend over to pick my hymn book up, and in front of the entire congregation, my crystals used to fall out. And I said, excuse me, sorry, just going to pick my crystals off the floor and then stuff them back in my bra. Well, their faces were a picture, but hey.
Go on, keep going. I completely interrupted you there. Sorry.
So yeah, crystals definitely for however you're feeling. Try and take a moment to breathe, sit, check your energy. If you feel like, oh, my protection isn't good today, picture yourself in either a white bubble or a golden bubble. Put the thoughts out there that whoever you're dealing with today, you will be able to deal with them and focus on that, that you will be fine, you will help them in the best way possible, etc. Don't panic about anything, because panicking is not going to help you.
Never.
Certainly candles, I know, not always appropriate in some buildings because you're not allowed some in for health and safety. And so I've been asked to take the ones where the plastic with the batteries in before for doing stuff before, because they weren't allowed live flames in the buildings, which is fair enough. Mm-hmm. But light a candle, a nice scented one that uplifts you or relaxes, whichever mood it needs to be in. Make sure you've got some incense like sage or something like that burning. That's important. Or lavender, because lavender is a good cleanser. Frankincense is a brilliant cleanser if you don't like the smell of sage. However, that's another issue, because normally it means you've got issues if you don't like the smell. But there we go. That's for another day.
Not great for talks.
Yeah. So set the scene for yourself and for the your clients. Do those those things, and it will work a lot. Mm-hmm. It's like people will go lavender, but if you've got someone on a therapy bed and you drop some onto like a tissue near them, or even if you put an eye mask on, which I tend to drop a little bit on the other side, obviously not near their eyes, they totally relax. They love the smell, naturally, that you put. So use the sights, the smells, the sounds. It's like a visual, sensory thing for witches as well, and as it is for your lovely, rock stars. Get that right, and you're halfway there. But make sure your protection's up. Make sure you're not going, I'll take all of that shit off. Yeah.
Give me your shit.
Smashing, I'll carry all your shit around. Make sure you're saying to yourself, you're saying to your guides, look, let's have a quick chat before the day starts. I'm not having loads of people's shit. I will help them, give them the tools to deal with it, but I'm not taking it on myself. So can you remind me if I'm going to do that? And you know, give me a sign if I'm doing that. So I go, oh, yes, hang on a minute. You know, it's all about that. It's about self-care. It's about peppermint oil for negativity is excellent. And spiders don't like peppermint oil. Don't like it. You put that on your door frames, door frames, window frames, they'll not come into your house because they don't like it. But peppermint is very good at getting rid of negativity. So if you like that very uplifting smell of peppermint, which I do, you can sprinkle some of that onto some cushions or wherever, you know, and that brings an uplifting vibe, you know, that zingy kind of fresh vibe into your room. You know, if you're worried about money, basil, cinnamon. Now, cinnamon's a big irritant, I want to say, for essential oil. So if you're going to use the cinnamon essential oil, please make sure you don't drop that on your skin because it's highly irritable. It really is an irritant. That's what they put in the stuff that plumps your lips up. You know, the lip glosses. It's cinnamon. Oh, yeah. So
that's interesting.
Imagine if you rub your eye after you've done that. That's gonna hurt. That's the eye hospital you're on the way to. So, you know, put it onto a burner like a charcoal disc in a heat-proof dish. Drop some oils on there, or you could use cinnamon, as in the stuff you get off the shelf in Sainsbury's, Tesco's, all other supermarkets. So, you know, you could use that to bring more money in, or, you know, honey for an offering for people, for their faith. Basil is a fabulous, what's a patchouli? Smell like hippie all day long, love it. So, yeah, cloves. Cloves is good for money and protection. Mint, excellent for money. So if you want to bring a bit of money in, basil, mint.
I'm done now with what's in my drawer.
Patchouli, I can't even start with mine. Basil, mint, patchouli mix on a burner, or drop it onto a cotton wool bud so it smells around the therapy room, or you might have one of those burners where you put the water in and drop. You can do that. That brings the energy of manifesting money, prosperity, abundance into your life, you know. If it's protection, peppermint, as I've said, frankincense. Patchouli works for money and protection. So, you know, there's lots of ways you can do that. You can
oils or incense?
Either. The only thing I'd say is with people you might be dealing with asthma, the smoke of burning stuff can be a problem. So that's where sometimes the essential oils are better. Because you've got to be aware people, you know, do have certain ailments, and it's going to make them exasperate what they've got sometimes. So think on, they've got asthma, so it's going to have to be an oil, or they're okay. I can make them smell like a bonfire. They're going to be champion. You know, it's okay. So to me, I prefer burning the actual herbs because I'm a witch and I know the potency of it.
And she's got a huge cauldron.
Yes, giant cauldron. Well, I've got a mini one and a giant cauldron. But, you know, so it's all about that for me. But you have got to be aware of your clients and you know, any medical issues that they may have for breathing. So you might not be able to actually burn because it gives off one hell of a lot of smoke. You know, sage does when you burn sage, and I'm always burning it. My husband really likes the smell now. He's that used to it when I open my therapy room door.
My husband thinks it smells of sausages.
Sausages? You must eat very fancy sausages in your house then.
We must have a lot of sage sausages in our house. Like, smells of sausages up in your office.
Yes, I've just been frying some lovely little burger there.
Sausages.
Oh yeah. Some people say it smells like marijuana, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't know. Does it?
Does it?
Does it? Okay.
What do you think are kind of the top tips about making sure that you are well supported, I suppose, and energetically with the people that are around you, that you're not, you know, ending up getting yourself into situations where you're dragged into drama and heavy energy, what would be your top tips around that?
One, always carry your crystal. And more from Modulistic would tell you that as well. You know, carry it in your bra or in your pocket if you're a gentleman, because you probably won't wear a bra if you're a gentleman. I'm not judging you if you do, but you know. But also, you know, remember that's not your shit, that's their shit. And you are the one helping them, giving them the tools. You are not taking on their problems. You are not meant to be dragged into their problems, because it's their problem to solve. It's their lesson to solve, not yours at the end of the day. When I say about spell work, I'll ask people, what have you done? What have you done to solve this issue in your life? And if they say nothing, I normally say, go and try this, and this. If this doesn't work, then come back and need the spell work. Because spell work is not your first port of call. It is your last port of call. It is it. Everything else has not worked. You use spell work. That's what you do. It's not, oh, spell work here, spell work there. You're overusing something. You don't do that. You learn your lesson by working, you know, through whatever it is you're faced with at that time. And then if none of those other processes work, then we look at spell work. That's when you look at it. So, you know, you don't bandy spell work about, basically. I think people have an idea that witches are just doing spells all the time for themselves. I hardly do any for myself. I try and work it all out, you know, because I'm on the earth plane to learn. So I try and work it out that way rather than doing spells. There are times when it does have to be used, but, you know, not very often. But the main thing is, you know, don't take other people's stuff on. Don't get dragged into the middle of it. Be aware, put certain boundaries in place. You know, like what your crystal you're carrying, asking your guides for help so that you don't, and that the trigger comes up when you go, oh, I'm getting dragged in here. You know when to say something and not, and hold back. Sometimes information isn't appropriate at that time. You may know it, but you may know they're not ready to hear that. So you've got to be appropriate with all of that.
I always talk about it as like logs on a fire. You know, if you put logs onto the fire and it's a fire you don't want to burn, then you've been a bit daft.
Yeah, exactly.
You want something to fizzle out, stop putting your logs on it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can make up a nice little amulet, a little charm bag or something as well, to carry around to safeguard your energy, you know, and you can design it to protect your energy, but also not to be dragged into other people's situations and stuff, you know. You can do things like that. You know, I'm not saying, I can say, oh, it's simple because of what I do, but I'm not, you know, I'm not going to be cheeky and say, oh yeah, it's simple. You know, it's probably a bit daunting for people who aren't, you know, don't know what to do, but it isn't actually difficult unless you make it difficult.
What then, as a, you know, you are a witchy entrepreneur, you're a spiritual entrepreneur. What do you think is a really important kind of guidance tool? Because what I'm trying to get you to talk about is how much involvement comes from spirit, how much is logical brain, how much do you get help and support? How does the kind of mix come together?
And right, so obviously I'm lucky because my family are very supportive. So here in the now, my family are very supportive of me and what I do. I'm very lucky like that, you know. My friends, well, basically, I learned a long time ago that I'd rather have a few friends around me than a load of, you know, people who, you know, are just kind of associates and bitch behind your back. I'd rather have 3 good friends than a load of people who bitch and call you. Do you know what I mean? So I learned to disengage from people like that. I don't want people like that in my life at all. So you learn to pick your friends carefully. You learn also that sometimes people will fall away from the scene because they were right for you then and helped you with your lessons then. you know, whatever those lessons were between the two of you, but they may not be for your future, and new people will step in, new people will graduate and sort of be pulled in towards your energy who are very similar to yourself. So, you know, you do attract like. On the spiritual side, I do have a very, very noisy set of guides. Sometimes they leave me to it. Other days they're constantly, the banter in my ear. The banter in my ear is like, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, do I listen to them? Well, sometimes I haven't, and it has resulted in a dislocated ankle and 2 broken bones in my leg when I didn't. So yeah, do I listen? Now I listen all the time to them. It is annoying sometimes because they do tend to be right, but it's about balancing your ego and your mental process with allowing your guides to come in. And I'm not saying they're going to chatter in your ear. It might be through feelings, knowing, so claircognizance, clairsentience, so you feel it or you know it, you know, that's how they may communicate with you. They might give you signs like, you know, angels stereotypically give you feathers in places where you think, oh, wow, you know, how's that turned up in a sealed room or type thing. I'm not talking about you walk through a square where there's loads of pigeons and there's feathers. Well, yeah, there is going to be a lot of feathers where there's pigeons, so that's not really much evidence at all, is it? But you know what I'm talking about. Somewhere where there's a feather that there's just no way that feather could have got there. That's evidence that they're talking to you. So it could be angelic guides. You know, it could be your teaching guides. I've got witchcraft guides who, you know, come in and sometimes frighten the shit out of people. They don't mean to, but, you know, some of them are quite, you know, my weather witch does look like how you would imagine a witch, minus the green skin. So she can be scary. And some of them have got very freezing cold energy. I'm talking about them now, and here they come. I can feel them around me. You know, so, and, you know, they don't muck about. They're not softly type of guides. So I temper all my guides with, you know, listening to them, but I've also got to listen to me higher self, not just them, but me higher self, because my higher self is, not that my guides are going to lie to me, but I've got to listen to me higher self, because that's the person, the spirit, the thing that is never going to lie to you. It might say yes, it might say no, and if it says no, it might be, oh shit, that's not fair, but it's telling you the truth. You might not like it, but it's not going to lie. So the more you have a connection with your higher self, the more your life is going to be more straightforward, because you know your truths and you know your untruths. And that's what your guides want at the end of the day anyway, that you're listening to your higher self, to that monad. You know, that's what they want you to do, not always be trying to ask them questions. And to be honest, I don't often ask mine loads of questions.
You don't get a chance to chat.
Not really. They normally telling me. So, you know, I don't really, people say, oh, do you ask them questions? No, they're just standing there telling me what to do, you know. So that's the way it works. So honour them, talk to them, you know, as in say hello, acknowledge them, because they can get a bit annoyed or a bit like, oh, well, geez, thanks, you know, I'm just spending eternity here trying to guide you in the right direction and you're not listening to me. You know, acknowledge them, you know, say, you know, I acknowledge your presence, thank you, you know, I might not always listen to you, but I am grateful, please keep on doing it, you know. Acknowledge your higher self and build that connection up with your higher self. That is so vitally important. It really, really is. And that will always serve you so well in whatever therapy you're doing, because you'll know things about your client before they even open their mouth. And that's how you really need it to be, if you can. That you know, you're so tuned in that you're listening to your higher self, you're listening to guide, but then you're tuning into their energy without taking it back with you. Let's not take it back, but you're tuning in and you're listening.
Very, very, very true.
And can I just say, you don't have to take clients on who you really feel know about. If you're feeling like I don't feel safe about that person who's just rang me and booked, or I don't feel I can help that person, refer them to someone else who you know can. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. If you don't feel you can help that person, send them to a person who you can, or say, this is who you need to look for, because I don't think I can help you. Don't be afraid to say counselling would help you, or whatever would help you. I've had people who have gone, listen, I'm not being funny, but you need a whole lot of counselling first before you come to
you
know. So don't be afraid of that, and don't be afraid to cancel someone if you are getting bad vibes. You don't have to take that on at all. Don't feel like you have to, because then you know, you're not respecting yourself and you're not respecting your energy. So never forget that either. And
the ones that you take on that you think, you know, I shouldn't take this on, are always the ones that end up causing you so much
grief. Hang on, I bashed my head against this wall.
Totally. So would anybody like to ask us anything? Is there anything that anybody wants to ask? Anything that anybody wants to share? Anything at all? We're here. We're quite happy to take a couple of questions. I know we've been on for quite a while, but if anybody wants to ask us anything at all, that would be totally dandy. Totally dandy.
They probably don't know what to ask. They're probably thinking...
Well, there's an awful lot we've gone through. There's an awful lot there that'll give them food for thought and things to think about. What I will do is I will download it as an audio as well, so that I'll pop it on the podcast, and then if anybody wants to listen in, it's one that you can listen to a few times, because there is so much that we've talked about of all sorts of different stuff, really, that it might be one worth coming back to. Sarah just said, I just want to mention that Andrea's School of Witchery is awesome. I've already put the link in, Sarah. It's already in the comments.
Oh, thank you, Sarah.
If you want to learn more witchy tips from Andrea, then here's the link. It's already in there. So, does anybody want to ask us anything at all? I'm going to go and get my fir cones from on top of my washing machine. Or at least a couple of them, because otherwise, if I take them all away, what'll happen is my washing machine's going to break tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'd leave at least one on the washing machine.
I'm going to have to take some, but leave some. Linda says, I will look at the replay. I've just come on. Brilliant. Well, if you have any questions at all, Linda, pop them into the comments. We'll come back to them later, and I'll tag Andrea, and if there's anything that you want particularly Andrea to look at, then do just pop into the comments and shout up, because that is absolutely cool, and we're quite happy to come back. Equally, if you're watching the replay and there's anything that you want to talk about, then please do come in. Yvonne says she loved it, and Andrea is fabulous.
Thank you, Yvonne.
I think Yvonne's pretty fabulous too.
Yes, she's very amazing. I'm going to see her on Monday.
Are you?
Bowen technique. For
very
my poorly bad, well, it's not poorly bad now, but you know, it helps with my leg and my gait. I'm like that at the minute. Instead of being stood like that, I'm off like there. I'm off kilter with my gait. So
well, that's what you get for pole dancing. Just saying.
Yes, it wasn't the pole dancing, it was the jumping off the podium.
It was the falling off the pole dancing. Linda says, I've been meditating and it's been great. Thank you, lovely. Absolute pleasure, darling.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Well, I will presume that everybody is fine and dandy. I would like to say thank you so much for spending an hour with us today, Andrea. And like I said, if anybody is interested, Andrea's Witchery, School of Witchery is in the comments with a link in there. And also I've popped a link into my 7 days spiritual business supercharge, which is a free resource if anybody wants to come and join in with that. Thank you ever so much.
Do it, join it. It'll be brilliant. It's what you need. She's amazing. She's the queen of business entrepreneurs.
Thank you very much, darling. I didn't even pay for that. So, thank you so much. And it was lovely, lovely, lovely to have you here and your energy with us. So everybody's having a good wave. Speak soon. Thank you.
Bye. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.